Joining us to look at the issue at stake is Robert Clarke, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Good morning and good to have you.
Good morning. Always my pleasure to be here.
For so many, I think they think that this is more or less like a trinity. You have to look at three things here: the executive, the Senate, and the man, Ibrahim Magu. When this broke, the story broke, what first came to mind?
Well, let me be honest. I'm here today to act as the devil's advocate on behalf of the three segments you have just mentioned. It is very surprising that within the same system of governance, the executive can nominate somebody and the Senate will reject it based on the same executive's report. It doesn't make sense to many of us. One would have thought that the presidency will have taken everything into consideration, including the security report, before nominating somebody. However, let me take the security report first. I'm not going to hold brief for the DSS, but from the little experience I have, which I have a lot, they have what you call a continuing report. So if the presidency sent Magu's name 11 months ago, the DSS might have given a different, report based on the circumstances of that period. Now, don't forget, it is 11 months since they made that report. Many things will have happened within those period of 11 months. And therefore, it will not surprise me, knowing how the DSS people work. They might have got some more information which was not available then, which is now available now, which they have made known to the Senate. Let me look at the Senate's action. Is it constitutional? When Mr. President sends a name, under the FCC Act, he is bound to send a name for confirmation. Did the Senate follow the correct procedure when they were looking into this matter? The Senate in plenary normally is expected to confirm. But in this particular case, the Senate, the whole Senate itself went into a committee of the Senate. So which is not the Senate in plenary to consider this matter. In the process, they did not allow the public to be part of the hearing. They did not allow the press to be part of the hearing. And to be honest, they have the right to do so under the Constitution. They looked at the report they have before them and said, look, with this report, we cannot take an action. So, even though some people will say they did not allow the whole process of confirmation to go into its full length, that is, according to the Constitution, you must confirm in plenary. But it is a question of half a dozen and six. The plenary is constituted by the whole members of the Senate. A committee of the Senate, whole House of Senate, also consists of almost all members of the Senate. So when you were talking, the difference is, as I said, between half a dozen and six. But we lawyers, we look at things differently. We might make a mountain out of a molehill. One will say, look, the Constitution says the Senate at a sitting must approve. They did not sit as a sitting. They sat down as a committee. Therefore, there's an fragment of the Constitution they must have. So then they can raise make a mountain out of a molehill there. But I will not blame the Senate because of that report. If you look at what happened during the ministerial screening, there were many committee reports that were brought into the plenary on certain, and they were asked questions on them. On Magu, the Constitution says you cannot nail a man without listening to him.
You know, it makes it easy for us now, letting me know what you're about on this, and now we're putting all of them out there, asking some of the ifs on this matter, on these three, issues. Now is one issue, but we have three people we're looking at now, if we choose to personalize them, and I'm asking, looking at the executive and bringing in the DSS into it. Let's say that this report emanated from the Directorate of State Security, and when they bring out the report of another nominee of the president, one would have thought that the presidency, which is the executive arm, should be the first to receive that report before the Senate.
Well, as I said, where things are normal, that should have been the process. It depends again at what stage this information was received. Because if you are recommending, at the stage you are recommending, you are required to attach the DSS report. But subsequent reports may not pass through the same channel that it went through when the earlier report was. So one gives a little bit, say, let us give, I wouldn't call it, what will I say? I'm short of the words to say what happened there. But give it, or take it. Good intentions were available. But where I'm going now, let me first analyze the three before I come to the executive. Look at Mantu's position. Mantu has been accused by the DSS.
You're talking Magu?
Magu, sorry. Magu has been accused in a report subsequently provided after the main report when the executive was forwarding his nomination. One will have thought that under the present constitution, the other party must be heard. It's a fundamental principle of law that you must listen to the other side of the story. One will have thought that before you, as the Yorubas will say, before you shave somebody's head, at least you must listen to him first. So my own area there that I'm a bit not happy about is that when the Senate was deciding to take action on a report against a third person, they should have allowed him to be heard. Even if we are going to crucify him on it, let them know that, oh look, we have this report against you. There's nothing we can do, we cannot ignore it. But we will give you an opportunity to say what you can say. But I doubt whether that happened. So
let me bring Mark in, and Mark.
Well, I was going to ask, what do you make of those who say, that this goes to point at the independence of the agencies of government? Do you agree with them?
Well, governments have agencies that are independent of each other. There is no doubt. But there's always a coordination. Any government that decides to act effectively, there must be a central coordination of all its agencies. If a government just relies on any agency to act in isolation of the others without coordination, they may not make any headway in governance. So I will agree that there are different agencies, but there must be a coordination within the government. If a government is forwarding the name of a person for appointment, another agency has something against him, that same government must know beforehand. Either use that information to withdraw that nomination, rather than allow that nomination to go forward to the man who is going to approve, and now to say, look, I am not going to approve it because of this information.
Mr. Clarke, that brings me to the question I wanted to ask you, because when it comes to security report from an executive arm from the executive arm, it goes to the president or to the Office of the National Security Advisor. That's what's believed. So is it possible that the NSA did not see that report, or the president did not get that report, so that no action was taken? And then when you say Magu needed to be given room to respond to it, is it his place to respond, or the presidency to respond?
No, you see, the presidency will ask Magu to respond. It is not that the presidency will respond. They cannot, because these are statements made against the person of Magu in his capacity as the man who has been recommended to undertake a very important job on behalf of the government. And now finding such revelations made against him, it is imperative, it is necessary that you confront him with these things.
Okay. But who should he respond to? The presidency?
It's the presidency, because they are the one recommending him. You see, the Senate has no fault at all in this matter. The Senate has no fault. The Senate has been doing its job properly. You have sent us a name we should confirm. You also have sent us certain reports that cannot make us to, so go and sort yourselves out. We will not, confirm this gentleman based on your report. So we send it back to you. Go and sort yourselves out. So the Senate has no problem. They are doing their work correctly. The problem lies with the executive. That is where the problem is.